We recently marked the 1 year anniversary of How Long Till Bedtime. Cue the confetti. Thank you all for listening in and coming along on this journey with us. We have thoroughly enjoyed creating this podcast during this past year, and we are really looking forward to providing even more practical solutions for you as we head into our second year. We've got lots of great episodes planned. If you've enjoyed the podcast this past year, can you please help me celebrate our 1 year anniversary by rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple or Spotify? It would mean the world to me. Okay, so throughout our first year, we invited many guests to share their expertise with us. And after each interview, I asked them some rapid fire questions not related to their area of expertise. Today's episode is a compilation of all the great bonus answers that they shared with us. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, I'm Allison Egidi, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. We're going to link to the individual episodes with each of these guests in the show notes. But here's a little recap of all of the guest interviews we did during year one. In episode 13, I talked with licensed pediatric occupational therapist Alicia Grogan about helping your picky eater. Orthodontist Dr. Andy Glassick shared the many benefits of orthodontics in episode 52. Ashley Sharp, the owner of Green Bean Baby Boutique, shared her product recommendations with us in episode 33. In episode 36, I discussed choosing a safe sunscreen with esthetician Bev Sitters. Maternal mental health was the focus of my conversations with Britt Davis, Caroline Vasquez, and Ellen Jones and Holly Kennedy from Mother Tree Wellness in episodes 30, 31, and 32, respectively. In episode 19, I explored pediatric dentistry with Dr. Joe Cronley. Leah O'Connell and I talked about fall family photos in episode 49. Anxiety and OCD therapist Natasha Daniels shared tips for parenting anxious toddlers and preschoolers in episode 8. And pediatrician Dr. Stephanie Grice and I discussed how every feeding journey is unique in episode 43. I'm going to share the question that I asked, and then we'll play the answers from each of the guests in the order that I just introduced them all to you. I started by asking each of these guests for the best piece of parenting advice they received or the piece of advice that they wish they had received. Each one of them had a fantastic answer.
I wish I could say that I remember any really great postpartum advice that anyone gave me. And by no means am I saying that I didn't have supportive people around me. I certainly did. My mom was really amazing and encouraging during that time. I don't remember any sort of judgment coming from her. But I also don't remember any particularly wise words either that are standing out in my head. What I do wish someone had said to me was that whatever you're feeling is okay. I didn't have postpartum depression, but there was a lot of overwhelm, and I felt that there shouldn't be. I also would have loved for somebody to have said to me that it's really going to take a lot out of you physically to birth this baby. And I just think I always underestimated the physical recovery and what my body needed to go through. And looking back on it, that is one thing that really stands out to me. I think I was trying to pick up the pieces of my life too soon. I mean, I was definitely trying to be present with my babies for sure, but I was also trying to move on, especially with my second and my third. There was just a lot happening because I had these other kids at home, and I think I wish I would have given myself a little bit more grace and time to just let my body heal, because I think it needed more time after every one of those babies that came.
I think it might be a little cliche, but to treasure every moment. I never know with my girls when they'll no longer want to hold my hand in public or have me carry them around and wrestle them. So I treat it like gold while I can.
I would say that something I wish someone had told me was to let go of the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. So you shouldn't carry your baby all the time, or your baby should be done with a pacifier at this age. I think if you just do what feels right for you and your family, it takes so much pressure off of you and just makes motherhood that much easier and enjoyable, honestly.
Nobody prepared me for parenthood. And postpartum is real. I would say reaching out to my friends and taking daily walks with the kids. I mean, it's tough because, as an entrepreneur, your life changes drastically from the moment, you're holding this little child, this creature, this wonderful being, and your life as you formerly knew it is non-existent, right? So now motherhood kicks in and nobody prepares you for that. So get your circle of friends and call on them because you need them. Don't isolate yourself.
So this isn't really parenting advice. This is more like postpartum advice, but I really wish someone had told me before I had my baby about night sweats, because no one mentioned that to me. And I remember after having my first baby, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, what is going on? It scared me. I just didn't expect it. And everyone is different. But for me, night sweats lasted a solid month. And I mean, I would be drenched to the point of needing to change clothes. So I just wish someone had told me about that.
Be honest about how you are doing and how you are navigating this really big life change.
I'm just going to say it. Pee when you have to pee. Let me tell you why this was so deeply impactful for me. As a new mom, you put your needs so far down the list that they're not even on the list. And I wish I could see a show of hands right now of how many people waited too long to pee. I mean, not to say that you necessarily waited too long, but it is to say that you ignore your own needs because you want to put everyone's needs before yours. So the best advice I ever got, which I still to this day repeat in my head, is pee when you have to pee.
I don't even know how I follow that. Mine was gonna be there's two. One is like a very coachy one of like take things in moments. That I still use that today. This is a moment. This moment will pass. There's going to be another moment. So take things in moments. And the other one was give yourself a treat in the middle of the night. So I would line up mini Twix bars on my dresser so that whenever the baby got up, I was like, woohoo, I'm eating a Twix. And I would eat a Twix.
I kind of did this anyway, but after the birth of each of our children, I just felt like that was a specific time to be with just our small unit and family. And I kind of went into a little bit of a hibernation mode, and it was just us. And I tried not to entertain a lot of visitors or do a lot of outside activities because I just felt like it was a really good time for my body to heal from the labor and connect with my newborn baby, and for our family to connect together and kind of shut out a lot of that outside noise of birthday parties and extracurriculars and running from here to there. So I think just everyone kind of taking a pause in life is something I think I really adopted on my own. I wish someone would have told me right off the bat.
So one particular thing comes to mind when I think of this, and that's an experience I had when my oldest was probably like 6 to 9 months old. I was doing baby boot camp, the stroller exercise program. And we were hanging out with a group of moms after class one day, and I kind of was confiding in one mom saying like, my goodness, she's just like crawling in the dirt all over the place. Like, I can't keep her outfits clean. Like, how do you clean? Like, how do you keep them clean? And she just kind of like smiled and was like, oh, you don't. You don't. And I was like, oh, okay, I can let this go. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It was a huge light bulb moment for me, just like the ease in which she said it. She was like, "Oh, honey, no, like you just need to let that go." I was like, "Oh, I get it now. Okay."
I wish that somebody had told me, or I had told myself, my younger self, to be more free and soak up the moments in parenting, because you never get those moments back. And when we're so consumed with doing it right, or what other people think, or just the day-to-day struggles, or what we should do, then it ruins that pure enjoyment of being in the moment fully, without any expectations and without any care. That's a hard place to get to.
I wish that everyone could, it was a little bit different, but my own my own advice is don't let anyone tell you what you need to do. I think that was the best advantage that I had being a pediatrician in the postpartum era, was that my family members didn't try to tell me how I should feed, and they didn't try to tell me how I should raise my son. And I thought that was the best blessing that I could have. They trusted me, I trusted myself, and that was such a gift. So I wish everyone the same self-confidence, and really take advice with a grain of salt, because you know your kid the best, better than anybody. And suggestions are helpful and people's tips are helpful, but you said it, trust your gut. Absolutely.
I always love to hear what other people are reading or listening to. So we also asked them for recommendations of either a book or podcast that they've really enjoyed. There were some really great suggestions here. Alicia, Ashley, Bev, Caroline, Ellen, Holly, Joe, Leah, and Natasha are up first with their book recommendations.
As far as my favorite book that I've read recently is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. She is an amazing author. So this is fiction. I do read a lot of nonfiction too, but for just a good read from an amazing author, she actually just came out with her new book, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it.
The last book that really made an impact on me was To Love and Let Go by Rachel Brathen.
I really like the book, The Sixth Extinction. It talks about a lot about what's happening in the environment. So that was really eye-opening, and it actually was a great book on tape. It's kind of a complicated. There's a lot of complicated terminology in the book, so it was difficult to read, but wonderful to listen to on tape.
So I just finished The Last Thing He Told Me, which is a little bit of a thriller mystery, not a scary one. And it was pretty good.
Lisa Oliveira, Already Enough, A Path to Self-Acceptance, I think is the full name of it. It's an amazing book from a new mom talking about enoughness, which I know is a big theme for a lot of us. And for me, it was super impactful. I loved that book.
I just started Atlas of the Heart. I love any kind of, I don't know, of course it's what I do, a self-exploration book, but I have to read in like 5 or 10 page increments, so I don't get overwhelmed. And so I also then just read magazines, because that's my attention span these days.
One of the books I'm reading right now, because I have a major obsession with the royal family, is The Palace Papers by Tina Brown. And it says Inside the House of Windsor, The Truth and Turmoil. And it's all about the Queen, Princess Kate, Meghan Markle, the new Queen, Camilla. So it's awesome and kind of gives an insight of things that most people do not know.
A book that I've read recently that I love is called The Soul of Money. It was life-changing, so beautifully written, and so impactful for like the way I see the world and money in general. Is an interesting topic for me, but I loved that book. And then a fiction book that I read recently and loved is called The House on the Cerulean Sea. It was magical. It was so good.
My favorite book that I just finished listening to is Una Out of Order. It's a novel about this girl that goes through her life and lives through her life not in sequential order. And so, when she's 19, she wakes up as her 40-year-old self. And when she's 40, she might wake up into her 21-year-old self. And it gave me just this incredible perspective on life and appreciating every moment. And, it makes you think about your own life and the order of things and what you would do if you were this wise, but you were in your younger self, or vice versa.
And Alicia, Andrew, Ashley, Britt, and Caroline had podcast recommendations for you.
I listen to a lot of different types of podcasts and go in and out of phases. Recently, my favorite podcast is related to my faith, and it's called the Intentional Parents Podcast. And yeah, I really love that. Been listening to it a lot.
This is a great question. My wife and I have really enjoyed a podcast called Raising Boys and Girls. It's done by some counselors out of Nashville. And I grew up in a house with 4 boys. I have 3 brothers, and now I have a house with 3 girls. And so any help I can get to help improve my understanding of how I can support and encourage my girls as they're growing up and going through stages that I'm not familiar with is truly invaluable to me.
I love listening to the Savvy Shopkeepers podcast, so very specific to me, but I learn a lot from it.
I have a friend named Rachel Camfield, and I love her podcast. I'm actually going to be speaking on it soon about PPD issues, but she is a mom of 2, and she's just really resourceful and has stuff on there from self-care to getting in a good routine. I just love how open and honest she is.
My podcast tastes are all over the place. We've been thinking about potentially redoing our Greystone or building something new. So the Modern Craftsman is a podcast from builders that I love. And then I am still a Popcast listener, which is like a long time running kind of pop culture-y podcast.
You all know that I think it's really important for parents to take just as good a care of themselves as they do their kids. So, of course, I asked my guests to tell us about their favorite form of self-care. Again, we're going to listen to 12 answers in the order that I originally introduced them. There are some really great and simple tips here.
My favorite self-care ritual is taking a hot bath with a good book with the Epsom salts and some essential oils. I do other self-care activities like running that are not my favorite. And taking a bath does not happen as often as I would like it, but it's definitely my favorite.
Getting out into nature. I love to hike, fly, fish, and ski. So anytime I can get out, especially with my family, is awesome.
So my dog is 17 years old, and although she isn't walking as fast or as long as she used to, I still make sure to get her out at least once a day for a walk and to get that fresh air. I also splurge on monthly massages because as a business owner, I feel like I can never fully unplug. So when I'm on the massage table, I have to silence my phone, silence my watch, and be fully present.
A nightly walk, I would say.
I feel like my favorite self-care ritual is working out. I work out at a gym called AKT. It's in Charlottesville, and they have dance, tone, circuit, and bands classes, but it's really fun. I drop my daughter off at preschool. We go, like, the lighting, there's like a disco ball. Like, it kind of feels like you're back in college and it's 1 a.m. even though it's like 9:30 in the morning and you're working out. But it's just, working out is such a good release for me, especially with my anxiety.
So I have 2, and they're opposite ends of the spectrum. So bad TV, huge part of my self-care. Like if I can sit and veg out for half an hour with some mindless, sweet Virgin Rivery television show, that's actually really calming for me. The other end is that for me, working out is a really important part of self-care, not because everybody tells me you should work out, but because for my own mental health and feeling strong, just getting a good sweat in is like the best way to start the day.
My answer is candles. I have not ever counted the number of candles that I have around my house on purpose because I think I would be horrified. I love being surrounded by candles. They are literally everywhere in my house, and I find them super grounding.
Is it really weird if I say my cats? But wait, hear me out. I'll be really fast with this. What it is I think it gives me a moment to pause in the day. Pause, no pun intended. To pause in the day. And it's just like a quick mindful moment where I sit and I pet them and I hear the purring, and that's my little reset.
That would be getting massages. Being a dentist, I'm always bending over and always have a sore neck and back. So I get a massage about every 2 to 4 weeks, and I just feel it's crucial to my survival at this point.
I don't know if this is considered self-care, but to me, reading feels like the ultimate right now in my life. Like sitting down and reading, even if it's just a few pages of a book, feels luxurious to me with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old in my life right now. And to just like find a cozy spot and read, it feels like pouring in fiction, not like nonfiction business books. Reading a fiction book feels like self-care to me.
I do a lot of fancy self-care, like massages and, float in a salt tank. But honestly, the best self-care ritual I have is just walking for a few miles in the desert by myself. It's just so peaceful, and it's like the only time when my mind can be completely clear.
100% sleep is my favorite thing, and it's the thing I probably need to work on the most. Sometimes getting home late from work, like you said, sometimes the bedtime routine gets off, but sleep is 100% my favorite.
How fun were all of those answers? I hope some of these suggestions were helpful or sparked an idea. It meant so much to me that these guests were able to join me on the podcast this past year, and these helpful extra answers were just icing on the cake. I hope you enjoyed this fun episode. Please join me here again next week, where I will be tackling how to prepare for travel over the holidays with your children, and we're going to touch on managing family expectations. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.